Well, throughout history, there have been times when Christians have had to choose between obeying God or obeying the state. What are the limits of our obedience to a regime we believe is asking us to act against our conscience? That was a question also faced by faithful Jews living under Roman occupation in the first century. When Jesus was very young, there was a famous Jewish leader named Judas who led a revolt against Rome by refusing to pay taxes. The Romans crushed this revolt brutally, leaving plenty of crosses around the countryside with dead or dying revolutionaries hanging from them, as a clear warning that paying taxes to the emperor was not optional. Today's gospel reading describes attempts by Jesus' enemies to get him to say something that was either treasonable or heretical. Jesus is tag-teamed with questions from both the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Pharisees sent an unlikely combination of earnest young disciples together with Herodians. We know very little about the Herodians, but as their name suggests, we know that they were strong supporters of Rome and continually acted in support of Roman interests. The Pharisees were of a mixed mind on the matter of Roman occupation. Some supported armed revolt, while others adopted a live and let live policy. Opposition to Jesus brings these groups together. Well, after some flattering words, or after flattering Jesus with some words of praise, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God according to the truth," etc. And then they ask the question, is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? It's a clever question designed to put Jesus in an impossible situation. Saying yes puts him on the side of the Herodians, who collaborate with Rome, and he will then no longer be a credible prophet. Saying no will put him in clear danger, marked as a rebel against the authorities. So Jesus' response to their question was to ask them to show him the coin used to pay the tax. So they produce a denarius, and the coin pictured on our order of service this afternoon. Then Jesus asks, whose head is this and whose title? They answer that it is the image of the emperor's head, but they refrain from quoting the title, Tiberius Caesar, son of the divine Augustus. Jesus then famously responds, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." His interlocutors are left speechless, and they go away amazed. Well, Jesus' response to that question has been the source of much debate over the centuries. What does it mean to give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's and to God the things that are God's? Well, we note that Jesus did not possess that Roman coin himself. When he asked whose image was on the coin, he was reminding those carrying the coin of the second commandment. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above or on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. When in light of the inscription that claimed divinity, Jesus intends that nothing belongs to Caesar. The claim to divinity belongs only to God and should be given only to him. Well, Christians have sometimes interpreted Jesus' words to mean that there is a secular realm and there's a religious realm, and we have equal respect being paid to each. But Jesus knew no distinction between politics and religion. Neither did he know any distinction between politics, economics, and the worship of God. On another occasion, Jesus said, "No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and wealth, nor can you serve God and the emperor." Well, possibly having watched the Pharisees trying to trap Jesus, the Sadducees now have a go. The Sadducees were the aristocracy of Jerusalem, possibly tracing their origins back to King David's high priest Zadok. They relied only on the first 5 books of the Old Testament, what's known as the Pentateuch, and they denied any doctrine of a future life. Incidentally, they disappeared as a group after the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70 and disappeared from history. But on this occasion, they come to Jesus with a question about the resurrection, designed in their mind to show the absurdity of this belief. Using the reductio ad absurdum argument, one of the few things remembered from my Philosophy 1 lectures of long ago. The Sadducees note that Moses said that if a man died childless, his brother should marry his widow to raise up children for his brother, so his name may not be blotted out of Israel. That was a quote from Deuteronomy. So they asked Jesus, who is the husband in heaven of a woman who has been married to the 7 brothers, each of whom married her in order to obey Moses' command? Well, Jesus responds by observing that they fail to do what they claim is one of their great strengths, namely, not to go beyond what the text actually says. He bluntly tells them that they know neither the scriptures nor the power of God. Israel's history was made possible by God's ability to raise up children in unlikely ways. And Jesus reminds the Sadducees that in Exodus chapter 3, God identifies himself as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God, moreover, is the God of the living and not of the dead, which means that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob enjoy a life with God. Resurrection names God's refusal to abandon us even in death. Well, Jesus also suggests that we should not get carried away trying to work out what life in the world to come will be like. He shows the absurdity of the Sadducees' argument by declaring that in the resurrection life we will neither marry nor be given in marriage. One modern commentator adds, because we will with the angels have a life with God and one another where there will be no aloneness to be overcome. Well, we're not told what memory of our earthly life we will have in heaven, nor are we told how much we will know of those we have loved on earth. We don't know if there will be animals in heaven or the answers to a host of other questions that we would like to have the answer to. Yet we know that the way we have lived on earth will not be irrelevant to our resurrected life, precisely because the very names of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob still matter to God. Also, Paul finishes his great chapter on the resurrection with the words, "Therefore, my beloved, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Lord, because you know that in the Lord your labour is not in vain." God calls us to be new creation people in the here and now, bringing signs and symbols of the kingdom to birth on earth as in heaven. And when the Bible talks about heaven, it's referring to God's dimension, a different sphere of reality that overlaps and engages with our reality in numerous but mysterious ways. Our hope for the future is not to be beamed up into a heavenly home somewhere up in the sky. Rather, it is to find ourselves in God's redeemed world, where heaven and earth have been brought together in perfect harmony. There are many things about the future life we do not know, but the author of 1 John wrote, "What we know is this, when Christ is revealed, we will be like him, for we will see him as he is." And another writer, Stanley Howes, puts it like this: "All we know about resurrection is what we are privileged to witness in Jesus' victory over death. There the Father, through the Son, subjected all things that gain their power from death to the Son, making it possible for us to share in that subjection through the gift of the Holy Spirit. We need to know no more about the resurrection than what we have been given through the sharing of the body and blood of Christ."